Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first game of the week. This week for Smite Pro League, week number 2. My name is hi-rez Bart. That is hi-rez Drybear, and we are nearly ready to go here with our first game, which is going to be Coast versus Mortality.
Yeah, so Mortality, and this is kind of what we're excited to see in the second week, right? Teams that are playing each other again. I mean, Mortality already has beaten Coast, so they're 1-0. Coast now coming back to this matchup. We can see that we had that head-to-head building up. So Coast really has to prove themselves today against Mortality, considering the fact that Mortality is undefeated 3-0 right now.
Yeah.
So if Coast can take them down.
Coast looking for their second win, 1-2
That's right.
so far here in the Pro League, with Mortality sitting at a healthy 3-0. And it looks like their latest edition of Sayo is working out quite well for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Sayo is, one of the highest performing players in the SPL so far, overall, EU and NA.
That's right.
So he's just out-farming everything, looking very, very good. So, looking into this, seeing, what is it about Mortality that works so well?
What doesn't work well for Mortality? I mean, that's really the question, right? I mean, Mortality sitting there. No one at the beginning of this thing is saying Mortality is going to be as powerful as COG Red at this stage in the SPL, but they've looked really, really great. And Fexes, it looks like he's made a transition from that Hunter role very well into mid. He hasn't lost a game yet in the mid lane. Like, he hasn't lost his lane.
That's right.
Which is surprising. Him and Sayo both, right? Surprising that neither of them have lost the laning phase, really. I mean, Sayo's come out of laning phase behind, but not really lost it,
right?
Considering that those are both off roles for them.
Definitely. I mean, Moex as well, a good person to talk about for Mortality in that Hunter role. Of course, we do know that one of our pre-show analysts likes to talk about him a lot, but, he's been in the top 5 for KDA almost the entire time. Moex definitely very high performer. And here's the thing, right? You got Fexes and Moex, which were the core for Bloody Tech before. I mean, that's why they were doing so well. That's why they got picked up and uplifted out of Bloody Tech into the next team, of course, and then finally making it into Mortality. So you got Sayo, you got Fexes, you got Moex, all heading up each perspective lane, right? And all you need to just bring it all together is a very aggressive support with Frezzy. Frezzy able to get in the front line, get a good frost breath off with that Amir, kind of get in there. But here's the standings, guys. Mortality at 3-0, Cloud9 HyperX, surprisingly enough, after their scatter and reforming 3-1.
This is great. I love Europe.
That's great.
The two teams you probably would expect to be, or the three teams really you would expect to be on the bottom 3, given the roster changes of Cloud9, Mortality and Exposed both coming out of the qualifiers to be your bottom 3 seeds, are actually sitting in the top 3 positions.
Well, that's amazing, right? And SK, of course, now in the bottom 3, they're tied for that 4th slot. Of course, after coming out their first victory on the EU Pro League kickoff LAN, looking very sharp, and then not really performing the way that you would want them to. And now, look at a team like Mortality and Cloud9, the two teams you didn't expect to do as well. Especially, I mean, Cloud9 going into this, they're thinking, okay, they completely scattered. They lost Sayo, which was notably one of their best players.
Of course.
Obviously overperforming on the side of Mortality, but now that he's not there, you're thinking they're not going to do well. But Optics standing in,
looking great,
fantastic.
Well, granted, he has gotten Giannis way too much considering his competency with the god, and that's actually been a theme throughout the SPL, is that Circuit, Nua, both getting a lot of bans, but both winning about 60% of their games. Right. Giannis with a tremendous pick ban rate and win rate. But then you look at gods like Amir, which Frezzy notably is his kind of hallmark for Smite Pro League so far. Only a 25% win rate on the god, the only win coming on the back of Frezzy.
Now, again, we do, of course, we had that solo lane Amir, and then, of course, we had a little slower Trickstang playing Amir and going, what was it, 0-13 and 14.
Yeah, Shing
so
struggled,
very slow.
and I think Frezzy's gone 1-1 with Amir, and then we had 2 other losses besides that playing him.
So those 2 losses kind of amplified the stats a little bit, make Amir look a little bit less than he was before. Same thing goes for Sobek, right? The first day at SPL, we had Ionic play Sobek in the solo support. Yeah. He played 3-0-11, and then, of course, Zalia took him in solo and did not that great. And so it scatters the stats a bit. I mean, looking at stats last night, I actually went through and see who is the best healer so far. I can tell you the stats so far. Multi-Potion is the lowest healing done so far. Then it goes up into Chonga's Moonflower Dance as the second lowest. Then it actually goes into Death's Toll, which then goes into Aphrodite's Heal. And then the highest after that is going to be Healing Potion. Healing Potion has healed 91,000 health so far in the SPL. But guess how much Ra has done? 181. Double the amount of healing potion. Yeah. But again, Ra has been played 13 out of 20 games.
15 to 20k healing a game, basically.
Yeah, Ra actually not the highest average healing per game, but total definitely. He's been played 13 times. A very powerful, important character. Death's Toll, yeah.
Wow.
Death's Toll has healed 61,000 health so far, and Vampiric Shroud about the same, 61.8.
Well, starting items continue to be worth your 800 gold, ladies and gentlemen. If you learned anything here, let it be that. So, guys, we are moments away from getting into the game here. Looks like there's a little bit of issues with the lobby. The players are going to try to sort that out. But as you know, if you've watched us here on the Pro League before, pro players, it's sometimes difficult for them to actually make games. So
it is.
But it's good news for you. You get to see our lovely shining faces here a little bit longer. But let's talk a little bit here about Emelito and about some of this Watcher's Gift shenanigans that's going on. So for those of you who don't know, it's been kind of trending more popular recently that the Guardians have been skipping the Watcher's Gift and going straight for Midas. Effective goals-wise, or like break-even point for the Midas boots, it comes about a minute earlier if you skip the Watcher's Gift. But it is still more efficient to get Watcher's Gift if you get every last hit.
Right. Well, here's the thing. We're getting to the point now where it's a very aggressive meta, especially in the first 1 to 6 minutes. So definitely a big thing. But we've got 1 to maybe 6 minutes total of just roaming. And so a lot of times you'll see the Watcher's Gift only be great if you're getting about half the last hits. Watcher's Gift ranges anywhere from 10 to 45 GPM, which at the low end, if you're roaming a lot, so especially like a Geb or a Bacchus engaging the mid lane, looking for those mid camps, stealing back harpies, as we've seen time and time again. A lot of times we'll see supports on the side of Chaos actually invade the order side, steal a movement speed buff, steal the back harpies, and then go back to lane, which means you're not getting last hit. So a lot of time the Watchers is only worth 10 to 15 GPM, which then you're spending 800 gold for that. It doesn't really equate out. So some players are just skipping right into Midas.
Especially if you do get those back camps. But let's talk here quickly about the schedule. So your first game coming up in just a moment will be Coast versus Mortality. Following that, we'll have Cloud9 and SK Gaming right after this game concludes. And then we'll be moving into, basically, we'll be watching the... my mind is going to hell right now. We'll have Face Off coming right after the second game today, followed by Dev Talk about Odin with Dry Bear and the designer hi-rez Scott. And then we'll have a little bit of a break coming back at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time with Snipe versus the Chunks, and then rounding out the day with Dignitas and Cogred. So a whole wonderful day of Smite for you guys. But quickly getting back to the final discussion here on that back camp and Watcher's Gift interaction is that this is actually something that Hindu Man pointed out to me in a little bit of discussion that we were having, that it's actually really interesting when you think about that the reason that game was won was Emilito skipping Watcher's Gift. He takes the back camp, so it gives him the extra gold to recoup what he's going to be missing from the Watcher's Gift. Gets the early Midas boots, which gets him the early Hog 3, which gets the early objective, which snowballs the game. So it's a game of inches, certainly, as they often say about games. And this one can be only a matter of 70
It's
50
interesting,
gold.
Right? Because a lot of times we see supports fall behind early, and then they're scrambling the rest of the game. And the goal, for a support, I mean, they don't really have, compared to other roles, they don't have a big checklist. It's get your Hog 3, finish your Sovereignty, and be at a reasonable level. Be around like 13, 14 by the time the game ends. So they don't really have a big checklist. But the other thing you have to think about as well is that, if you're far enough behind, we saw this actually, I think it was week 8 of the qualifiers for the actual Pro League. We saw hi-rez, who was played very effectively, but he roamed so much they actually fell behind. And when it became mid-game, he was not tanky enough to be a threat, and so people just killed him.
Pure damage.
If your Guardian is a thought in the enemy team's minds that I can kill this, you have a problem. So you have to get to the point where you have enough natural stats from leveling that you're actually tanky enough that people actually don't think about killing you. Like, oh, I can't kill Athena, she's too tanky right now. Versus, Athena's a little bit behind. I can actually burst her down, and that's a problem, especially for objectives.
That's right, and a big thing that's been very popular has been the that Sovereignty into Stone of Gaia right away, which is just like uber tanky. Before that, we used to see maybe a Witch Stone or Witch Blade, I guess it is now. A utility item maybe sneaking its way in there. An Urchin was very popular at one point about in the last 6 weeks or so, but now we're seeing it be really settle into Stone of Gaia. Like really, let's tank up.
All right, well, so we're going to go ahead and close this out and figure out what's going on with the players right now and see if we're getting ready to go again. In case if you're just joining us, we're hopping into the first match. It's going to be Coast versus Mortality in the EU SPL, and we got a lot of things going on the rest of the day. We're going to cut to a brief break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Picks and Bans and the top of my head. Hi, how are you? It is Mortality versus Team Coast, of course. You can see the picks and bans starting to come out. Mortality already banning Cirquette on the right side. It's going to be Nuwa taken out. No big surprises there. And then we have a follow-up ban from Mortality coming as well here, which looks like it is going to be the Rom is going to be banned out.
Rom gone away.
Yeah, wanting to keep their Mercury open, I'm sure.
That's right. So they're actually, well, it's not going to because Mercury is banned out there. And of course, as is the usual, they're going to get John Quay locked in first for Mortality. And they're going to be probably, I'm almost certain it's going to go to Sayo. He's going to pick that up for the solo.
Likely,
and across the way, they're hovering on Giannis, and no surprise there. Giannis and then Aphrodite. Not that surprising. I mean, all these characters are incredibly good.
Well, it's variety. We always see Aphrodite picked up by Coast if she's available because it's just one of Variety's best gods. Back to the side of Mortality here. The response is Agni and an early Thanatos to keep it out of the hands of Bobat, I suppose.
Gab going to lock in here on the right side for Team Coast. Imagine Athena would be coming shortly. Or actually, is it against Frezzy? It's kind of against Frezzy. I imagine
they're probably
going to
ban Amir. That's right.
That's right.
Mortality banning out Artemis there, taking away the hyper late game physical damage potential, and Amir taken out by Coast as well. So Coast kind of relegated into this this magic damage late game style here as Apollo really the only remaining. As you see, they're going to be forced to pick him up because Well, it's going to put Mortality in an awkward position. They're going to have to be picking likely Neath here would be my expectation to go up against that Apollo.
Moex does like a lot of different hunters. We'll see. I don't really see him playing Neath as much.
We're going to see the Cupid life?
Maybe
Honor's actually been popular.
On her, okay, so on her's going to be hovered on here. Might be actually, I would imagine to be locked in. Moex does actually enjoy his on her. I think to be locked in for Mortality. And it's funny, right? Because Frezzy's like, oh, I guess I'll play Athena. I guess I'll play one of the best Guardians of the game.
She also has a cone CC.
Oh boy!
And it's just more mobile.
Plus an amazing ultimate. We saw actually last week, Athena doing anywhere from 700 to 1,000 damage with that ultimate coming out there. So definitely a very strong burst, especially with a late game Soul Reaver. Nemesis is going to be locked in for Coast to the right side of your screen. So we're going to have Nemesis here against the Zhonghui. And honestly, they have a lot of execute potential here. And I like the fact that they have Thanatos against Aphrodite and Geb, realistically. Because the problem is, if you're up against shielded teams or healing teams, it's very frustrating to get them low enough to kill them, but you can't actually execute it. And that's where Thanatos comes in, right? But the problem here is, once Thanatos gets off the ground, he's going to try and transition his team into late game for Sayo and for Moex to say, these guys really have to carry me late, especially as Fex says, I prefer just to get off the ground early and see if he can't control it well enough to get there. We know he's played actually a very strong Mercury. In fact, he went Shell Mercury last week. Very fascinating. Actually, the first day he went Shell Mercury, and it seemed to work pretty well.
I think a lot of times the Shell Mercury or the Shell off rolls from the Guardian or a Warrior even is generally like, okay, I bought Beats 3.
Right.
I'm fine. I don't need Sprint. I don't need Blink.
What can I do to help?
Pick up a Shell or Creeping Curse. It used to be the Weakening Curse, Creeping Curse kind of was what everyone would pick in that utility slot, or an additional Heaven Unit Agility.
Right.
But now it seems to be that Shell is the favorite item. It's that damage reduction, that 50% damage reduction, just so good. Let's point out here that Sayo does have a crystal Zhonghui, so he's got
that diamond.
The hell out of a Zhonghui.
He's got that diamond. Well, we know he's been playing Zhonghui even before Zhonghui was popular in the mid lane there, so definitely a big pickup for him. And Sayo is going to continue to do well with that character. You just can't give it to him. Here's a problem with Zhonghui, right? And one of the reasons why he's played so much, just watching top level league, watching Pro League, even Challengers Cup. Zhonghui is one of these characters that fills a role that colloquially you want to kill. You want to burst the mage, get him out of the fight. Okay. The problem is that he's very tanky. And when you try to commit to Zhonghui, he's going to do a lot of damage to you in the process for very easy. I mean, he cards you, exercises, and then puts the ultimate. And while you're chasing him, he's just bursting. Yeah, that's right. Works out a little bit, lifts a couple weights. But, honestly, that's the problem, right? It's a high damage mage that you can't kill, plus a stun, plus a really good slow that lasts a long time. And so he's got a lot of things in his kit. I mean, he's not maybe from a mage perspective not as good as other mages, but as implementation wise, very very strong.
He's basically the best you can do right now in terms of tankiness and damage output. As we mentioned several times when Zhonghui comes up, as the Warriors got nerfed down, Zhonghui rises to the top because he is truly a magical. Zhonghui rises. So Mortality, I think this is a tough game for them. Really, I do.
Yes.
Coast has a lot of you ain't killing me potential. Very hard to lock down every member of this team, with the exclusion of Aphrodite, but she's just so resilient with her ultimate. Nemesis is pretty damn tanky when it comes to her shield.
Well, they got those portals, too.
You have portals on Giannis. You have the ultimate from Apollo. You have Geb shields to bail anyone out that gets ugly. Plus, they have the better late game between the Apollo and the Giannis, and really Aphrodite bringing the back off scaling that late. Mortality, on the other hand, is way more early game focused. They're only really going to be relying on the Agni late game, housing the stack up against the Giannis. On her will do well, but he's not going to outscale Apollo in the super late game, and Zhonghui will fall off as well, in addition to the Thanatos about the same time, nearing that 30-minute mark where they just can't do enough. They're just really frontline presences, and Thanatos primarily an initiator at that point.
Well, I mean, a lot of times when you look at Thanatos, you look at the accuracy of the Death Scythe, right? If you miss that Death Scythe, you're almost guaranteeing your own death, because not only did you, consume a large chunk of your HP to use the spell, you missed out on the burst damage that was your kill secure, and you also missed out on the healing that comes with it. Death Scythe has already healed about 21,000 self-healing so far. That's a lot.
That is a lot. Almost
all of Thanatos' survivability is his ability to fly and landing that Death Scythe. So look at Iraf for early. See if he's landing those Death Scythe slows.
I mean,
that's true. Yeah, very true.
This number 2, the run speed Sarah, does drop slows from him, which is actually pretty helpful. Granted, he will not have to face the Zhonghui this game, but
Zhonghui.
He will have Nemesis ultimate that he can shed pretty well.
True.
Which is going to be nice.
Plus the slice and dice slow. He's got a lot of slows across the way they can get rid of. But
if Nemesis is closing distance on him and fighting him, He's in a bad spot already, right?
But he's also got the heal from Aphrodite, the Aphrodite ultimate, and the Geb shield on the target he wants to burst down. Plus, Giannis can disable him with the portals there. But let's go ahead and introduce our teams here. The first team on your screen will be Team Coast as it disappears. They'll be the top side of the map, and it's going to be Mortality versus Team Coast here as we get ready to go. The bottom side of the map will be Mortality Esports as we wait for that to come up here. Hopping into the match, looking at the starting items, you can see nothing really too out of the ordinary. 2 lost artifacts going here for Afro. There is Team Coast again, the top side of the map. We're going to see Variety there in the solo lane with Aphrodite. Ninja Boba in the jungle. He's going to be running that Nemesis. We got Cornio in the mid lane with Janus. And, of course, we got Shaggy Shank on Apollo. Then we got Geb on Princess Pale playing Geb.
On Mortality side, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at them as they're fighting out of the bottom side of the minimap. Sayo in the solo lane, Fexus in the mid, Frezzy in the Guardian, Moex will be hunting, and iRaffer in the jungle as the Thanatos. This game is getting underway, and we'll take a look at Sayo. Can he repeat his Zhang Kui performance? He's had 2 very nice Mercury wins, and we've seen him do okay with Zhang Kui. Did fairly well for himself. So, guys, we are getting underway here. Just 30 seconds remaining before the minions spawn. Doesn't look like, or rather, let's say it this way. The trend appears like it's going to continue, that we will not see a lot of early game aggression in Europe, especially both teams hovering around their mid tower.
We see iRaffer electing to not go into Hog 2 and actually instead start with Boots 1. We've seen a lot of actually innovation with Thanatos starting builds in the jungle so far. Heavy Hammer, Hog 1, and some potions. We've seen Death's Toll. We've seen, Death's Toll Vanguard as well. Some very strange things going on, but iRaffer's going to go for the boots here. I like the fact that he's going to, try to rush those boots down. We've seen 2 different styles of builds, right? We have the Shing style Thanatos, where they just really like to go for the CDR. You have the Ninja Tabi into the Odin's Wrath, max out the CDR, and just throwing as many death sights as you can for harassment. Or you have like the Kivo Fred style of Thanatos, where they go for the penetration with the Warrior Tabi. They get a little extra damage early on with Jotun, and then they go into more penetration with like a Titan's Bane and try to burst you down with that 1 good death scythe, bolstering that 1 spell cast. So we'll see which way iRaffer decides to go this game. It looks like he is mixing it up a bit. Look at the mid lane, though. It's going to be cleared out here by the Path of Flames from the Agni as Cornio looks to do some damage here.
He's actually going to get him banished and do a nice little bit of damage there, won't he? And
sure will.
But Fexus is going to recoup that just fine. Those Vampire Shrouds, as you mentioned, doing a lot in the early stage of the game. Let's check in over on the right side lane here, where we do have Zhang Kui and Thanatos heading off against the Nemesis and Aphrodite. Both of these teams very, very potent in this lane as the solos and junglers are still combined. Zhang Kui and Thanatos, a lot of burst damage, the silence, and the massive slow from Zhang Kui. On the side of Coast, you do have the damage over time from Aphrodite is very strong, keeping Ninja Bobat nice and healthy so that the Nemesis can aggress very, very, aggressively, as it were. Mortality, though, has a superior push, it looks like here, as the birds are not leveled up, and they're going to get a whole wave under tower and prevent some gold from going the way of the Boys of Coast, giving them an early lead. Yeah,
all it needs was Soul Reap plus, the Expose Evil as well as the Exorcism. It just stacks up so well and clears the way, plus a heal. Soul Reap coming out here, no Death Scythe from Raffer. He has not landed one yet so far on an enemy god, so waiting to see if he's able to kind of do that. You see player damage at 293 just from Soul Reap so far. This Slice and Dice need the Death Scythe. Gonna get it here, forcing Bobat down to 200 HP. And that's the burst damage you expect from his left side. Looking for Princess Tomeo. Dropping low here. There's the taunt. There's the impale to the wall. Princess Tomeo getting very low here. One more shot to do it. First blood goes out to Mortality. And jumping over the wall is going to be Moex. Dropping low. Shaggy Shank trying to go for this kill here. Looks like he's going to be backing away. Still hanging around. Looks like it's the end of it.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do as the minions come back in, but smart play by Moex to leap forward there instead of back, past the minions and making Shaggy Shank deal with it. Oh, yeah, on the backside here, looks like Thanatos is trying to steal some camps, so I'm not sure if he realizes he's been spotted out. Krinios here with Ninja Boba, but no spells available on the Giannis. There's the Unstable Vortex. Is it going to be enough to take on the Thanatos? It will not as Frezzy rotates over. Trying to get that steal is Raffer, but not going to get it indeed. Coast, realizing the value of those early game camps, is going to go ahead and secure that for Ninja Bobat.
Well, we talked about it early on, the fact that, if you're watchers and you don't actually get enough gold and experience early on, it's tough to be a support, so we'll keep an eye on Princess Tomato going forward here to see what he can actually do. We see Fexus trying to steal a damage buff away. Bomb going to come down. He's going to get it! He steals it from Bobat! Now, of course, he's going to have trouble going back over to take it down. Looks like Frezzy might be picking this one up, but what a steal!
That's actually really tough. Now that you have a red pot Athena, that extra damage would be nice. But let's take a look back here at the Soul Lane, where it's Sayo versus Variety. And you can see here Sayo having the better SPL so far.
Boy.
Hasn't lost yet. Well over 550 GPM and a 3.9 KDA. Variety, of course, they've only won one of their 3 games. His GPM's been quite nice, of course, coming out of the solo lane. But KDA suffering a little bit as well. But I mean, you could say that some of that's on the back of his God selection. Very much a kind of healer, lane staller style of play.
Right. Well, once Cogred actually just played a few more games and actually had some longer matches that weren't, ending at the peak of their height, Sayo was actually rose to the top as the highest GPM player in SPL so far, 562, as you saw on the screen there. So Sayo is outfarming every other player in the SPL. Of course, his team is undefeated, so it's a lot easier to have higher GPM when you are winning, but there's a reason he is winning along with his team. So 1-0 right now here, 3.5 minutes into the match. The Mortality is currently 933 gold in the lead, plus about 880 experience.
Ultimate coming on the right side from Athena. They're going to go in on Variety. They're not going to find the damage from the ultimate, but they will have the taunt available here. And Athena's ultimate coming down and executing Variety right away. And he had already used the ultimate to try to escape the earlier gank. The rotations are starting to come out. Here comes a through space and time. Not going to hit anybody, but Princess Tomato is here with Carino. Now we're going to go in onto Sayo. Ultimate from Nemesis used. A Gab ultimate as well. A lot of ultimates used here. Sayo to fall as the Unstable Vortex come through, but not before he does a bunch of damage with his ultimate. Is he somehow going to survive this? The healing's going to be in time. Unstable Vortex will clean him up, and now it's Iraf in an awkward situation. Forced to try to hit Ninja Bobat, unable to find it, going to continue in. Getting knocked back by Geb. Princess Tomato with the plays. Now the knock up. And here comes the Aegis. It's timely there, but he's going to die at the tower, and that one shot may be enough. No, he's going to survive through the Ballista shot, and here's Fexes now going to put some damage on Tomato. Flame Wave going to clean it up. Immortality somehow comes out ahead of that gank.
Not done
Shaggy
yet.
Shanks rotated all the way over.
Shaggy Shank landed on top, looking for Fexes, forcing him away there. The bomb just barely avoiding Cornio as he gets away from the flames of the Ogni rotation from Fexes, but what a play that was for Mortality. That's why John Quay gets picked, Bart. That is why right there. It took him everything. He had Nemesis ultimate on top of him, Gab ultimate interrupt him into the portal, plus 2 unstable vortexes.
Variety chases down Frezzy there.
Frezzy sticking around way too long there on the right side. Coast picking up the kill
now on the
there,
left side, it's a blue buff joust between Bobat and Moex. It is going to go the way of Bobat there. Moex will steal some experience, though, in the meantime. And yeah, I mean, I think what went wrong there in that fight for Coast is that Nemesis ultimate actually came out before the Jean Quay ultimate.
Right.
So she stole his protections, but then he was able to steroid them back up by using his ultimate. If you don't know, when he uses ultimate, it doubles the protections he gets from his demon bag. So with the 20 stacks that we can assume that he had based on the timing in the lane, it gave him back basically all the protections he stole plus some.
Yeah, I mean, it works out great, and the fact that he's able to kind of keep his protections alive, plus he had the ultimate, and of course the heal from the Exorcism AoE damage was great there. And I like the fact that he threw one card out, waited a couple seconds, let it stack up, and then threw the Exorcism out to get a pretty good heal out of it, while also damaging them quite low. Unfortunately enough, Raffer missed 2 scythes in the chase follow-up, but of course we're able to kind of rotate over with the help of Fexes and get the kills under this right side tower. Looking at the starting items here, Raffer's actually going to go for an Aegis Amulet to avoid burst damage from Giannis. Of course, Nemesis getting pretty close there. It's a great rotation from Shaggy Shank, but in the meantime, we saw Moex actually start to pull ahead here. We got 3,400 gold for Shaggy Shank, and Moex is at 3,900, so a 500 gold deficit because Shaggy Shank rotated to the right.
They're going in on a Variety again. Card is going to hit. Here comes the Execute coming in, plus the burn. Variety's going to need to use the ult. It's just not going to be there in time as it goes to channel. Bobat going to try to chase down Sayo, but his ultimate available, and here comes the Athena as well. In the meantime, Carino is going to block off Fexes for being able to rotate effectively there through space and time coming through as well, but it's a clean kill on the Coast Variety.
So, of course, that Athena ultimate actually almost, I imagine it would have saved Sayo's life, but in the meantime, they're doing gold theory, that's right.
Yeah.
So they're going to take this time to clear this out. It's great. I mean, if one team commits on one side of the map, just take the objective on the other side of the map, and it's working great here for Coast. They're going to get this guaranteed. They have Hog 3. They don't, actually. Hog 1 on Princess is going to come on down here, unless my screen, yeah, so he actually hogged a little bit to clear it out there, but they were able to get it pretty easily. Moex had gone back to the base. Athena had ulted away. Thanatos had no ultimate available, and of course, they were engaging there. Mid lane, Ninja Bobat taking a lot of damage from Frezzy on that Athena with just the Midas boots up. Cornio looking to harass this just a bit, see if he can rotate back over toward the mid lane. 4-2 here. Mortality is actually still in the lead even after the gold theory, surprisingly enough. 500 gold in the lead, so they're doing that well.
Yeah, I mean, that gold fury is actually really important, helping out Variety especially there with those early deaths. It does give him the additional mana, the additional gold to get his Shoes of Focus up, which does give him additional mana plus cooldown reduction, which should help his ability to hold this lane a little bit safer against the Jean Quay. Also, I wouldn't be surprised to see some more aggressive warding, or defensive warding, but placed closer to the mid of the map here from Varieties. They did get ganked out of the Fire Giant pit last time, and they're having a hard time spotting that out still.
Well, mid lane is kind of pushing up here, looking for a bomb, going to find it. We see Raffer and Frezzy, like you're mentioning, kind of roaming through the jungle, looking for something to steal away. And it seems to be working, right? I mean, Bobat right now is at 4,200 across the way. Raffer's at the same amount of gold, but of course he's able to kind of influence lanes a little bit more. Damage on Cornio, going to force him to ult out. The CC immunity was necessary, avoiding the harassment from the taunt, of course, and the bomb from Ogden to stun him down. Goldfear's going to be down for another 2 minutes and 45 seconds or so, so waiting for that to come back up. Blink the left lane, looking for a knockup on Moex. Moex pops his ultimate ultimate in response here. Shield comes down to Shaggy Shake. Ultimate coming on Gab. Does he have an ultimate available? Looks like he does. Athena coming through here. Looks like she's going to try and jump down on the fight. Just keeping him alive there. And, of course, the damage reduction of 20% while it's channeling is also a big bonus.
Variety Force out of the lane yet again. Now going back to pick up his beads one. Going to get that available on Aphrodite. It should help out a lot.
Shut that Afro down.
Ninja Bobat trying to make his way back into the mid lane. The stun actually missed there by Fexes. And Raffer going to take a lot of damage for his trouble. Trying to rotate in as well. A potential kill there missed by Fexes as he isn't able to land that stun.
Well, the stun is proving to be a little bit more mischievous than he thought it would be. Mid lane is going to be pushed up pretty heavily. Princess Tomato's in the area. There's no mid camps. The right camp will be up probably about a minute here as they try to rotate over and steal that one away. Damage buff will be back up, and looks like most buffs are coming up shortly here. So look to see which jungle is a little bit more efficient in clearing the jungle camps. I mean, you see Raffer already on the left side of the map looking to pick up this blue buff. It won't be up for another minute or so itself, but the back Harpies are still there. 2 Sentry Wards on the left side of the map for Coast, surprisingly enough. A big commitment of anti-vision coming out. Bobat's going to harass Vexez, but it's not going to be very successful in the mid lane as iRaffer has rotated back over as well.
Ooh, that scythe barely missing as dashing away is Bobat. So yeah, around the map, I think you're right. I think it's going to be the teams falling back, and they're going to go ahead and farm up their buffs. Let's take a look back over at the dual lane, though, where we have the Hunters going toe-to-toe here. Moex and Shaggy Shank.
Moex and Shaggy Shank on the screen. 1.7 KDA there for Shaggy Shank across the way. 5.1 for Moex. 526 GPM in the top 10 there for Moex, and KDA still very, very high. 100% win for Mortality. So you see Moex is much more effective than Shaggy Shank. But given the fact that Coast is not doing as well right now, 444 GPM is actually pretty high for a Hunter in matches that your team ends up losing.
Yeah, Moex has gotten the better of the matchup. Definitely, well, Mortality's already beat Team Coast so far in the SPL, but Shaggy Shank definitely finding his farm and his impact on the matches. You can see the style of player he is, that early rotation on Apollo. Unfortunately, didn't work out in this match, but really like that style of play as well, that getting your Hunter involved early and often can sometimes lead to victory if executed properly.
Yeah, that's right. Well, execution is key, and that's the question that is posed to both teams here, especially with the objectives concerned. I mean, the first execution of Goldfrey was very well executed by Coast. I mean, they were able to kind of get over there, steal it away. They saw there's a lot of pressure coming down for a variety. They see that as an opportunity to go over to the Goldfrey side. We get this question a lot, Bart, when people are kind of asking you about Smite. Why did they put 2 people in the long lane and 1 person in the solo lane? And realistically, it's not always the fact that the short lane's easier. I mean, realistically, you'd probably want to put your Hunter in the shorter lane to keep them safe, but it's all about Goldfury. You want 2 people on the side of Goldfury and 1 person on the side of Fire Giant because Goldfury is so important. You need as much personnel on that side of the map as you can.
That's right. You can contest it much earlier as well.
Yep.
The lanes will generally break by the time teams are going for the Fire Giant. Hell, it doesn't even spawn until 10 minutes into the game. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Although, I mean, there is something to be said for, and something that teams haven't really tried out much yet, is getting their Hunter off to an early start in the dual lane and rotating them to the solo lane and bringing your solo laner over to hold the duo while the Guardian roams. Makes them safer, as you mentioned. I mean, it is definitely an option. No one's really come out with that yet, but I mean, once your clear is online when it comes down to being a Hunter. And when you look at on her, I mean, Impale at rank 4 is pretty much going to do it. So beautiful for Apollo, going to do the same thing. So at that point, they can legitimately become the solo laners. But they will stick to the dual lane for now, where they have to work a bit harder to take their towers. And it does give them a little bit more room to run, I suppose. If you are in the Apollo, you can kind of abuse your mobility a little bit more.
Oh, you really can. And that's kind of the biggest thing, is that the characters that can split push, especially, I mean, Loki's actually turned out to be one of the best split pushers we've ever seen. And if he gets to teleport to wards or shielded teleport, he's able to kind of just go run the map, stealth in, and steal things. I mean, Lokis have won games that way, and same thing goes for like Apollo can fly away. Goldfree start up here for Mortality. Coast is in the area. Looks like they're going to leash it away. Looking for the free shot there. Forcing out the ultimate from Cornio, surprisingly enough. Apollo's actually up in the air as well, forcing 2 ultimates from Coast. Amazing play for almost no loss. Moex gets ulted out there. There's a shot dropping low. Sprint activation going through. Raffer's up in the air. He's going to try and initiate on this. Vexus is too far away. He's going to go in. There goes the kill on Bobat, forcing out. They think it's going to come down on top of Shaggy Shank. Can they get the portal in time? Portal's going to go through on Frezzy. Frezzy dropping low. If they kill Frezzy here, it's a gold fury for them. Bomb cut out. Gab ultimate misses there. Looking for Shaggy Shank. Vexus runs right through on the Princess Tomato here, actually cornering it, dropping low. Bomb coming down. Flame Wave goes through. There goes the combustion as well. Raffer's going to die. Burst damage for Variety. The Burst gets a kill on Frezzy. Coast is taking down the team fight. There is no Sio to be seen. He's across the map. The Gold Fury is going to be free.
That was a not a great play by Fexus, unfortunately. The Ares bomb, I'm sorry, Ares. The Agni bomb's coming through. He only hit Geb with all of them. and it just didn't do enough damage. Plus, he missed the stun on multiple targets there, and they shouldn't have continued to take that fight. It just wasn't worth it. They had the split push on the right side lane. They didn't need to go back in with the Apollo and the Thanatos. It's just pure greed. Corino will get cleaned up by Moex there as he chases down the Giannis pretty easily. In fact, a nicely placed pillar is going to guarantee that pin from the tossed spear there, as it were. But I mean, they didn't need to go back in there. That's really when that Thanatos ultimate came in and they got the final pick, they should have retreated full on, but instead they decided to stay in, and they got cleaned up, and it gave a lot more away than they should have. They could have come out way ahead from that fight. Instead, they only net about 1,000 gold.
Well, I mean, they were able to get some kills there. They weakened Coast enough, and also, good pressure from Fexes and Moex actually prevented them from doing the Gold Fury. So Gold Fury is still standing here. It's actually a bit of a win for Mortality in the way that they got the right side tower, they put pressure on the tier 2, and of course, if John continues to scale the way he is currently, it's going to get to the point where Coast can't kill him off. Shaggy Shank in trouble here from Raffer. Rotation come out, needs a death side to finish this one. There's the damage. Raffer drop below, needs to pop his ult. Going to get up in time. No birds there.
Oh, wow. No birds.
No birds on top, so he should be okay for the time being. Bomb on top. Up there goes Apollo. Here comes a rotation. Here's another fight coming out from Coast. Knock him on Frezzy. Gold Fury goes to the Mortality, but at what cost? Frezzy dropping low. Looking for the kill here. They can't find a dash away. Gamble is going to go on top of Moex. He jumps away. He's still alive. No death so far. There's the Unstable Vortex hitting 2. Moex still alive. Needs some damage. Slice and Dice should clean this one up. There goes A from Corneo. Up in the air. Coming back down. Will it be enough? A Raffer looking for a kill on Bobat. Sile's going to die to Princess Tomato here. The Geb damage is real. Frezzy is still alive somehow, some way, but I don't imagine it's going to be for much longer. Needs a portal. Gets it. This should be the kill there, and there it is. The blue buff will be stolen away, but the Gold Fury going the way of Mortality. It spikes up and spikes right back down on gold.
Yeah, they come out still ahead, about 300 gold on that, but they lose a lot of experience to Coast on the back of all of those kills. Very, very nice for them. And then I think once again, I mean, the positioning in that fight was just atrocious for Mortality. Moex on the front line there in the on-her, trying to throw in his damage and just got blown up.
That pillar, though, great play by Moex, keeping the fight alive. It's so easy to split it, too. But yeah, I mean, Mortality did not have a good positioning there. They did force out a couple engagements and kind of split up well, but they just split up too far towards the end. They needed to reconvene at some point and actually look for a target to kill. Left side, we see that Shaggy Shank has no ultimate available. Sprint activation looking. He's got to hit the scythe. He misses the scythe, and that's his kill potential. He knows it, and he backs on off.
Yeah, he's got to go back, and the rest of Coast is coming over quick. They want to collapse onto Raffer here. Are they going to die between the tier 1 and the tier 2? It doesn't look like it. Oh, they thought about it heavily, though, and Moex once again, he's basically Superman in his own mind, as he's going to go and fight 5 now as on her.
It's just Aphrodite and a piece of metal. It's fine. You can go for this. I mean, a couple robots, whatever.
Yeah, well, I got another jump available.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
Fine.
It's unstable.
And he uses it. Yeah, the pillar coming out here, looking for a shot, not going to find it. Portal comes out there.
This is the point in my casual games where I'm like, stop chasing, please!
Please
stop chasing!
Not again!
Mid-tower!
But this is the power of on her, right? He's able to actually influence the fight a lot more than people would really give him credit for. I mean, the Obelisk is one of the best, single abilities a hunter can have. It's got an AoE slow around it. It increases the damage you deal while they're standing inside of the sand. It also has a physical object that you can use to block movement and impale people too. So it's very effective there. And using it to full effect is Moex. You see Ninja Bobat trying to defend the mid tower. Looks like he should be okay. And Retribution Shield to block some of the shots. Gab ultimate.
Oh, yeah. Side in a lot of trouble here as the ultimate comes out from Ninja Bobat, nuking his protections. The Princess Tomato initiation was very nice, but it's going to be a double execute coming in from Raffer there. Silencing out Shaggy Shank, but he's going to beads it away right away. Raffer now to fall, even with the Aegis. Athena ultimate coming in on top of it. 2 have already gone down to Corino. Do they have enough damage to burst down Corino? They do, as the scythe does hit. Now it's going to be Frezzy trying to get Raffer out of there safely, but it's a double taunt coming out. Moex and Raffer are here. They have a lot of damage to put up. Variety should fall if they can hit their spells. Frezzy diving the tower now. Here comes the minions. Misses the scythe, but they should get the tower now as Moex throws in the final in-hands, and they back off. A fight worth fighting for Mortality. Once again, they really stretch that fight out a long time, keep their damage dealers in there even at very low HP, but somehow come out ahead this time.
Well, here's the thing, right? And this is why they drafted Thanatos. It's going to help out with the healing from Aphrodite and the shield from Geb. Geb initiated there for a good ultimate, hitting 2 players, almost the third, but it just came down to the execute from Thanatos. And you can see the wild difference, right? The team fight on the left side, Raffer didn't hit a single scythe, and it went poorly for Mortality. This time, Raffer hit 2 scythes, and all of a sudden they get kills and they shut down the team fight. It all comes down to, can he hit the scythes and get effective enough damage to keep himself alive? You saw there, he was near death against Corneo, hit a scythe, went to 70% HP, and got a kill.
Yeah. And Thanatos does get a lot of HP back from killing gods, so being able to find the kill in that fight did heal him up, allow him to stay in there. Itemization-wise, let's talk here quickly. Raffer going for the pen boots into Jotun's Wrath, which will overcap his pen, but does give him the cooldown reduction. Also, let's take a moment to mention Sayo does have the Divine Ruin building into what appears to be a Rod of Tahuti, potentially well, we'll see what he does, maybe called the Late Book of Thoth there, but it's going to be Divine Ruin here to go up against the Height of the Urchin from Variety with his capped CDR. Also notable pickups, Raffer is going to be building into what appears to be a Witchblade here on Thanatos.
I like it. You're up against an Apollo, you're up against a Nemesis, but not just a Nemesis that committed the amount of gold required to buy an early game chins.
Right.
And so now you're slowing down the attack speed, you're slowing down the engagement from Apollo. I love the fact that he's doing this because he's also facing against them for damage dealt. So he's going to be avoiding that with the physical protection you're getting from the Witchblade. So it's a great choice. And a lot of times when you have at least 2 physical basic attackers on the enemy team, picking up at least 1 Witchblade is almost compulsory. I mean, Witchblade is becoming the new sovereignty in the way that you have to have at least 1 if there's going to be that kind of source in the enemy team. And right here, we're going to pick it up.
Sayo on the right side here is pretty extended, but doesn't like Kosumi will chase him down. Just going to waddle away. Yeah, it also gives Thanatos that kind of jousting potential versus the Nemesis in the jungle. Kind of at this point in the game, if he was caught up by himself with a chin size done, he'd have a hard time really effectively killing her. But let's hold that thought on the left side. We do have a fight breaking out. And Prince Tomato is going to get cleaned up after the execution comes down. Shell activated as well. Shaggy Shank going to try to make his way out, but the AoE was just too large from Fex's. Ripping through is through space and time. The rest of Coast trying to rally to this, but it's a full-on retreat by Mortality. Well, they may actually look to go back in with this ward coverage here. I think they saw that recall, and they know that they have a pretty big advantage at this point. In the meantime, Sayo, keeping true to his form, continues to split push the soul lane and finds the tier 2.
Well, look at his itemization here. He doesn't really have a way out other than walking, but he's pretty tanky, and of course can do a lot of damage here. Variety looking for the stun from the Kiss. Corneo chasing down here. He's just buying time for the Gold Fury is all he's doing here. If they want to chase Sayo all they want, they certainly can. He's not easy to take down. Of course, the Gold Fury will be secured by Mortality. Looking at the charts right now, you can see that they've skyrocketed up to 6,500 gold in the lead and 7,700 experience as well. At 19 minutes, it's a good look for Mortality, and Coast is now reeling. They got to get something back into the game here. You've got the book activation from Corneo, but it's actually going to be his 3rd item completed, including the boots, of course. So he's going to get, he's going to slowly gain up those 75 stacks for the book. So it's going to take a while. But across the way, Sayo's already got a Divine Ruin, which we've seen before, Bart. In fact, looking at the times that Divine Ruin has been picked up in the solo lane, it actually proves to be a little less effective for the starting of the game. But of course, that reduction on healing for Aphrodite makes such a big difference.
Yeah, and this game has in a lot of ways been dictated by the pace of the junglers, iRaffer and Ninja Bobat. Bobat initiating over and over and over again on Sayo, but unable to find the kills on the other side. iRaffer having a lot more success with the Thanatos.
49 GPM, look at that.
Yeah, only 49 GPM
wow,
for iRaffer.
That's bad.
It's somewhere in the 490s, a little bit over Bobat, but notably Bobat's sitting at 420 GPM, even though his team has been struggling, also maintaining a 1.5 KDA. He's doing quite well for himself, even though the team has been struggling. In fact, Coast around the board actually has
494.
A lot of farm, considering that. And a lot of farm, a lot of really nice performances, considering that they've struggled so far to win games.
Well, they're pushing hard. In fact, looking at the numbers right now as far as struggling, and Fexes is actually struggling to keep up in the damage numbers. You can see that Moex, Raffer, and Sayo are all beating Fexes for damage dealt. It seems like he's kind of like left in the dust as the burst damage comes on through. So look for him to start stacking up that Spear that he's picked up now. Spear's such a fantastic item. We talked about this a little bit last week, Bart. But the fact that you have the Combustion passive ticking for Agni, Path of Flames ticking, multiple sources. You have 3 ultimates effectively. Flame Wave source, and of course, you've got a lot of damage from the fumes, either 1 to multiple sources stacking up. And all you really need is 2 different sources to stack up that penetration, which works great early on. Across the way, not a whole lot of magical protection built up here, just a little bit from Variety on that Urchin, and of course, the Sovereignty Aura will help a little bit. Shaggy Shank is sitting on his Executioner, but across the way, Mox already has his short sword, as it looks like Mortality is grouping on the left side of the map. The tier 1 is vehemently being defended here by Coast. You see the portal coming out from Corneo, getting in position here. They do not want this tower to go down.
I'd love to see an early Titan's Bane here on the Moex after he builds his first crit item instead of going to the second crit item, allowing him to do more damage to the structures and objectives as we mentioned, they are the more early game focused team, and their lead sitting at 6,500 is about where you'd want it to be, considering they need to end this game probably in the next 10 minutes to really have a good shot at taking it safely. Now, if they let the game go much longer than about that 30-minute mark, it'll start getting hairy as Shaggy Shank really comes online and Corino's damage gets out of control.
Well, I'd like to say the game's not over until the Phoenixes scream their curdle of dying. But as long as there's still Phoenixes standing, there's still an option for every team to play. Fire Giant's still standing as well. No Fire Giants have been attempted or secured so far. Vision is very much in favor right now of Mortality. In fact, they have a lot of aggressive wards placed up. You see in the top right corner of the map, a blue ward now, right by the movement speed buff.
He's invincible.
And honestly, without rotation, he kind of is. No one can really solo him at this point.
No, absolutely not. Can't be solo, but still, I mean, the Giannis rotation just comes so fast, and Shaggy Shank has the ultimate to pursue him. We'll see.
He does have the Athena ultimate and the Thanatos ultimate for support,
here,
though.
as Mortality is grouping up around the Fire Giant, but it doesn't look like they're going to initiate, actually, as Zhonghui is going to go ahead and fall back. Moex continuing to pressure his left side. Thanatos making his way over, as is Giannis, and we may have a fight breaking out here in the next 90 seconds or so, as Moex continues to pressure the tier 2.
He's pushing hard here, but again, if he's in trouble, you got Athena ultimate to come over and defend him, which you don't really, at this point in the game, no one on the side of Coast wants to face an Athena on her combination with how fed Moex is currently, 11.8k total. That's actually going to be the most in the game, and so he is the most farmed character. Desert Fury coming on Corneo. It's a 2 versus 1. The ultimate look for it to come out pretty shortly here. Obelisk Wave coming out here. There it is. Impaled. Corneo Force Wave. Purification Beast coming out. There goes Unstable Vortex. Force on out. Bobat's coming out the jungle, and Variety is already here. Raffer looking to find Princess Tomei on the right side of the map. Can he actually get the support down? There's no tower there. Raffer's going to disengage, not knowing where Bobat and Variety are currently. He's going to be heading on home here, but just squinting.
Honest speed's down.
Yeah, I mean, that's big. I mean, looking across the way, I mean, it is tier 3, so it should be up by the next objective, absolutely. But, just squinting and looking at the itemization, you can easily see there are more item slots filled inside of Mortality. And when you have that kind of physical presence where you can kind of skim and see the overall overwhelming difference between the teams here.
The histogram view.
It's rough.
It gets rough, that's right. Looking at Raffer's build, though, he's going to be the one building this early Titan's Bane, which will give them that push potential as Moex has finished off his Rage Blade. Still wouldn't be surprised to see him building into a Titan's Bane of his own, and would still like to see that. And just push through these towers, push through these Phoenixes quickly, and go ahead and end this game. But Raffer with that Titan's Bane is going to be a penetration machine, basically. The attack speed that the Witch Blade is going to grant him is also going to help. And if they can just keep the Thanatos in the fight, if he gets his probably his Magi's Blessing online now after this, finishes out his build, then replaces Death Toll later, he can really stand in that front line. Once the initiation happens, you'll have Zhonghui out in front and Athena besides that, and he'll just sit there and be able to bash on the towers with the objectives. It will take them very, very quickly with his number 2 active.
Across the way, Frezzy has picked up Pestilence, Bart. He's kind of looking for that shutdown on the healing. And it's a good look, right? And you look across the way, Coast is reeling right now. They're not really in a good spot. They're not feeling comfortable with how much damage they're able to deal. So their way back into this is to heal it out. Just kind of poke, sit back, heal, get Aphrodite up. So picking up the Pestilence is huge here for Mortality, and they realize that Frezzy is healthy enough, and he's level 15 right now. At this stage of the game, 25 minutes, if you hit 15 on support, that's pretty darn good as far as experience gains. Got his shell up as well, so they're going to have a lot of protection here. So Pestilence is going to slow down the healing from Aphrodite, who of course has built a lot of utility, CDR plus the defense in the Urchin, more CDR on the boots as well. So interesting progression there so far. We see Nemesis finishing off that Rage across the way. Moex is going the same way, but of course, there's one item ahead. Bobat has tier 1 Purification, tier 1 Hog. I mean, they're at the point where they have to decide, do I want an active that keeps me alive, or do I want to deal more damage?
I'm a little worried here for Mortality, though. The pace of this game is slowing down now. 25 minutes in, about 4 minutes since we said they have about 10 minutes to really get going here. They finish up their Titan's Bane, they finish up their items, they're working on their Rada Tahuti completion from Fexes. They have it on Sayo. About 800 gold away is Fexes there, but a little bit worried, right? I mean, the next push needs to start happening soon, or you're going to have the items coming online. Ninja Bobat has his Rage Blade finished. Shaggy Shank will have his crit as well onto Apollo. You'll have the Rada Tahuti finish onto Giannis on top of the Book of Thoth, and that's where you really start seeing him taking over fights. And the Fire Giant becomes more and more dangerous to aggress into the more and more damage that Corino has, because one unstable Vortex plus a Threshold could blow up your entire team.
Well, it's really hard, right? Because you want to kill him, but you can't really just get to the back line and kill off Giannis. He's going to slow you down. He's going to stand on top of the threshold. He's going to put portals on the ground, portals through the wall. He's going to pop CC immunity on his ultimate. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with mages in the current meta. Is you pick a mage that has a lot of burst, but also enough utility to defend themselves should they get aggressed upon. Giannis, Zhonghui, even Scylla is kind of coming back into the meta as well, as we saw last week played to a very high level.
Scylla does really well against Giannis, too.
Oh, man, amazing.
Ability to hit that back line with the ultimate. Of course,
also avoid any damage. I mean, you can sentinel out and then get close and root him to the ground. He can't do anything.
That's right. Maybe we may see the renaissance of Scylla coming out here as the teams are
so.
grouping around the Fire Giant. I mean, you can see both of them really know that this is where the next fight is happening, as so often it does. And it's going to go ahead and get started up here by Mortality, as they do realize that, well, Coast has backed off more or less. Corino and Ninja Bobat in the mid lane. They don't have any answer to this now. They have Variety and Princess Tomato trying to get in there and steal, but they don't look like they want to fight. They're just going to try to use the ultimate here from Aphrodite to get him in there. But he's going down really quickly already. Going to get executed now, and now it should be a free Fire Giant. Asayo fixes him a kill to Corino before the damage comes out. Fire Giant going the way of Mortality as well. It's a 3-man wipe. A double kill for Sayo. Ultimate coming out from Moex just for funsies. Frezzy may... Oh, a nice stun out there, but iRaffer's going to be able to burst him and get the slow. And, yeah, here comes, well, the rest of the team piling on. Give it to Sayo. Why not? 3 kills for him in that fight, and fantasy points for all.
Oh boy, so mid tower now is exposed. Gonna run up and clear it out here. All 5 players from Mortality standing up. There's a beautiful fire giant. And Coast, here's the thing. Like when you're at the point where Coast is now, they have to do everything perfectly. They made some small mistakes there. It wasn't the worst ever, but they certainly could not ingress that way in open field against Mortality, especially given the difference. But fire giant buff going to Mortality. They get a 4-0 exchange. Now looking for the mid Phoenix. It's gonna fall pretty shortly here. They go for the right Phoenix and clear it out as well, as there are no remaining towers
one
in
question
that lane.
remains, Drive Bear, which is, do they have lethal?
They have lethal right here. I mean, honestly, they could. I mean, the respawns are coming back here, but the lethality is probably, the most thing we can call into question here. And that's what I'm wondering about is that, are they going to go for it? Looks like they're not going to go for the lethal, but they definitely can back off.
Are they going to go for it or not?
That's the question.
The answer was not. Yeah, and, why bother? I mean, look, they have done the thing, right? They got their 2 Phoenixes down. They broke the base before that kind of 10-minute timer was up. Fex says he may take a spill here. He's going to stun out Ninja Bobat, dashed away, and that's going to be enough for Bobat.
Ooh, a Thinold.
Was there a Thinold used there?
Yeah,
so just to bail out Fex. It makes sense. I mean, she has, she'll get it back in time. Whatever. MVD.
Yeah, fine. Whatever.
It's only 90 seconds.
Just the thing. It's fine.
She'll be all right.
That's it. So, I mean, at this point, Coast is really looking to get a big team fight victory. That's the only way they're going to get back. Is they have to defend the last Phoenix they have standing, stand on the Titan, and fight on the Titan. So the fighting, they've they got to sit still, turtle as hard as they can, wait for the fire giant buff to fall off, and then look for a big win.
Well, the fight won't stop. A lot of trouble. The Desert's Fury doing a lot of damage to him there. I believe it was used. Yeah, it was indeed. I didn't missee that. And well, they kill off Shaggy Shank, which is basically all of their physical damage at this point. Nemesis still really going to have trouble sticking to a target. Witchblade's coming out back and forth now. 2 of them on Mortality, and a 3rd coming out for Coast now. It's looking pretty dire here. They don't really have... Well, Prince Tomato is going to be fairly tanky now. The Sona guy is completed, but Variety has only the height of the Urchin to his name, and it's just not going to be tanky enough to really survive any of the bursts. Unfortunately, ulted very early in this fight, and Variety getting very low forced out. Moex, however, takes a lot of damage from the birds, and Trezzy falling quite low as well. Raptor forced to Aegis out, but Sayo's still there in the front lines, chipping away. Fortunately here for Coast, Moex has not been chipping away at the Phoenix this whole time. He was forced out fairly well, and they actually may hold their ground. No, Phoenix will fall now, and it would be the re-aggression coming from Mortality. The big knockout from Geb is going to hold a lot in place.
Wow.
Double kill for Carino, though, as the Unstable Vortex come through. Down to fall Sayo as well. Moex wants to stay in and fight here, but he is going to need to hit a lot of in-hands and get some lifesteal to boot here. He's going to avoid the birds with a nice play. Oh! Will pick up a kill before he falls down. Moex standing his ground, but still not able to really get in there and damage. That Titan is Mortality, and they will get dropped. Can Coast capitalize on this, though? Only a Gold Fury available, and all 3 of their lanes pushed in. They have to basically stay in the base.
Yeah, this is full babysit mode here for Coast. They have to make sure all these lanes are pushed up. They have to push them up to at least halfway across the map. They have to give them some bolster room and kind of really get a buffer zone going so that if they leave the lane alone for a while, it takes 30 seconds to a minute and a half before it pushes back into the base here. The Titan is kind of coming down here. Now, this isn't entirely a death sentence. Coast can still come back from this one. It's been done before, but losing 3 Phoenixes here at this point is rough because the Phoenixes will, the mid and right Phoenix will probably be respawning around the same time as the Fire Giant. So you're looking to kind of push the wave up enough where that regenerates before the minions get there, and then look to aggress upon the Fire Giant and hopefully control the zone. But they have no wards on the map. They don't have map control. They don't have any, real reason to fight them unless they're fighting over an objective. And so they have to be very careful on how they do this next fight.
Well, you do still have an ability slot available for Carino, which, on paper may not seem like there's much you can do with it, but a Weakening Curse here actually is deceptively strong. It cancels the Thanatos heal, and it cancels Zhong Kuei's ability to heal, plus the lifesteal that Moex will be able to get. And for 5 seconds, that's really all they need. Granted, they're not going to be chasing down kills. He could go also for a Blink or a Combat Blink to position himself better in these fights and find the damage. Combat Blink Giannis is just such a pain in the butt to deal with also.
Gold Fury starting up here for Mortality. They're going to take this out. 930 crits coming out from on her. That is just scary. He's about to finish off his Titan's bait as well. So once he maxes that out for the full 33% from the passive, things are going to be that much scarier for Coast. And here's the problem. Late game on her is he just needs 2 or 3 shots to kill you. And so if you stand close to him for a second, you can even take 1 spear, it's half your HP.
Also, I really like what Moex has been doing with the Desert Fury. He hasn't been afraid to just use it.
At the start,
yeah. Not even like, it's not going to get a kill. Let me avoid a CC and just do some damage. But the fight is breaking out here, Driver. Princess Tomato's ultimate has been used, and in comes, IRAF for dumping damage out of Variety. They're going to try to burst down quite clearly the healer here, but they're having a hard time securing damage onto her Variety. One more auto attack from Moex should do it if it crits. It will indeed, and down she will fall. That's all the healing gone now from Coast. Moex is going to tank up the Titan for a little bit as he dives the tower. Shaggy Shank will kill off the Agni, which is going to be a lot of damage to the Titan, in fact. And Shaggy Shank finding a double now as they continue to pursue Frezzy. And yet again, Coast will hold Mortality out of their base, bending not breaking, giving away only Variety, who's just becoming harder and harder to take down as she continues to tank up. Witchblade nearly aligned. Void's still done. Moex still trying to make plays here, but he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, Moex, you've bit off more you can chew, friend. And he's going to go down as well. Moex's, well, overextension continually here now has resulted in his 3 deaths. And we're approaching the point where Coast is going to be able to win this game against Mortality if this keeps going on. Maybe one more hold. They have an opportunity to take a Fire Giant on the back of it.
On the next episode of Game of Throws, featuring Mortality here. I mean, they just lost a major team fight by committing too hard unnecessarily, and then, of course, Fire Giant's still standing. So, look for Raffer, gotta hit the side, gotta hit the side, gotta hit the side, gotta hit that side, gotta hit it. Gets it there, kill, going up in the air, actually trying to avoid it, but here comes Frezzy. Gonna force away the Fire Giant, Corey gonna go down, gonna land down, missing that hit. Looking for Shaggy Shank, gotta hit the side, hits it, and gets another kill. Shaggy Shank going down, blinking for the wall is Princess Tomato, so great play by Raffer.
They must not have been listening, because I told them they needed to win one more fight before they went for the Fire Giant, and then they end up dying because of trying to Fire Giant.
They're not listening to the board.
They should have listened to me. Well, I told them clearly what they needed to do to win this game, and now they have painted themselves into an awkward position here. They don't have Karinya, they don't have Shaggy Shank for this next defense and to defend the Fire Giant. Granted, they do have still Geb and Aphrodite. The Aphrodite ultimate able to get Geb in there pretty much with impunity to try to steal. And their left side Phoenixes that come back online, which means they are forced to try to, well, let's hold that thought as Geb does get initiated on.
Oh boy.
Could be in a lot of trouble here. Trying to juke where he can use his beads and his knockup and will be bailed out by Variety. But Nemesis is frozen this left side lane trying to babysit this Phoenix and get it back up.
Well, it's back up now. I mean, obviously they failed to babysit the Phoenix in the mid lane or the right
final wave
side,
of firemen is coming in, so she still has to stay here. She's still frozen, and they're conceding the Fire Giant.
I mean, they have to. They don't really have. If they leave the base, their Titan's going to drop down to the point where they literally Mortality could walk into the base and kill it. I mean, even John Quay, who's tanky enough, can just pop his ultimate and kill the Titan.
That's right. You also have the. Let me just go ahead and Thanatos ult in there with an Athena ult on top of me and just kill this Fire Giant.
I mean, that's the point. I mean, they can't let minions touch this Titan anymore. It's just too frail, too weak, and Mortality now has the Fire Giant buff coming forward for him. Look at the stats right now. I mean, things are looking so good across the board here for Mortality. Fire Giant buff is ticking, keeping them alive. Of course, it allows more regeneration HP and mana, plus more damage for both magical and physical. So again, it's done. Frezzy, look for the taunt. Gonna find 2 purification beats, gets popped there. Gab ultimate's gonna miss everyone. Princess Tomato with a huge throw. Raffer to land on top. Looking for follow-up. Can they kill him off? Each gem is used to prevent the damage from the ultimate on Giannis. Portal on the ground, not going to find it. Ninja Boat's got nowhere to go. There goes the pop of the bulwark, but it's not going to be enough. Taunt on Shaggy Shake, not necessary. The base attack from the Flaming God Agni takes him down. Princess Tomato gets taunt into death here. Raffer's going to die to Titan. The double hit with the bomb. Triple kill for Fexes. Looking for 4. Cannot find the Quadra. The Titan will be falling down here as it looks like it will be a Mortality victory here. 26-19. 35 minutes on the dot. And that will be it.
Mortality with their 4th victory now, undefeated and standing tall and proud atop the EU standings. Ladies and gentlemen, your victors for game number 1, Mortality Esports.
So we're going to go ahead and bring the stats up to see how things worked out. Mortality Esports wins, and you can see there on the top as it's kind of rolling through. You can also see
the cameraman has 24 friends online.
Wow, that's pretty good, man. Wow. So you can see 26-19, 67. You can see the ratio of assists is actually pretty good for both teams, realistically. I mean, it's slightly more for Mortality. You can see that, Coast actually did a great job of keeping their assists higher. You can see the scoreboard as far as damage done. Looking across the board, you can see 25K there for Sayo, 25K for Moex, 27.6 for Corneo, but he is Giannis. A lot of AoE damage coming out, throwing those balls left and right. But, 1 and 8 on Princess Tomato, could not keep himself alive for very long. Damage taken at 28K, but of course, took about the same amount as Moex did, so was not able to get off the board.
Well, let's take a look here at a replay coming up of Sayo at that first Fire Giant contention where he just cleaned up so well, adding to a 7, 5, and 10 final slash score. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now as, well, hey, look, it's hi-rez Adonis' screen.
Oh, 418,000 gems?
Wow. Someone needs to, stop paying that boy in gems.
He needs to share.
He's allowed to make a salary as well. Well, the replay, I assume, is coming right now. As you see, Sayo did so much damage this fight. And, well, a lot of it came from just existing and using his shell. And he's just so tanky as well. Here comes the Exercise Demons coming out as well on a Shaggy Shank to pick up that double. And it actually turns into a delayed triple as he will continue to pursue them down. But that, guys, is going to wrap up our analysis here of our first game today. Coming up next, Cloud9 HyperX takes on SK Gaming. Both of them looking to improve their scores. Cloud9 does have a winning record so far. SK still looking to draw even now as they are at 1-2.
This match is probably the most important matches because last week SK had a 10K goal lead and C9 stole it from them.
That's right.
So this is revenge.
Revenge match.
This is
C9
revenge.
Took away SK's what should have been SK's first win up by about 13K. Guys, as you see, coming up next, Cloud9 versus SK. Following that game will be Face Off, and following that will be Dev Talk with Odin. Don't go anywhere for Dry Bear. I'm hi-rez Bart. We'll be right back in about 5 minutes with the beginning of our next match.